so-called Black people today. And this is Not Your Mama's Bible Study, along with a little bit of His Stories Lies. Grand Rising family, it's Shay Seeking, and this is Not Your Mama's Bible Study, along with a little bit of His Stories Lies. I ended up sharing this image here. I had my point of view of the image, but I didn't want to put too much in it. I was sharing it online and on Facebook, Instagram, and in the Facebook group, American Aborigines Unchained. And, I have a lot of people that are responding to the image, right? So everybody's going to have their own way of seeing it because of their journey and what information they have taken from different places. I always like to go back to the beginning when it comes to as far back as to the beginning or what we would feel the beginning would be, just to see what's really going on. And I always end up going into the biblical text because, again, although everyone may not see it the same way, it does have some type of firmament or a constructed formation that the world, even if we don't want to believe that, these people that are ruling the world now know exactly what they're talking about when they're talking about the biblical text. Again, it's not the actual word in the Bible that has you compelled. It is the perception and a false narrative that goes along with it, and not knowing who you are and what your origins are, in my opinion, right? So again, I like to, every time I'm doing something, I like to do it in a non-biased fashion. And again, we can agree to disagree, but I always like to take things back to the bare minimal and to the basics, okay? Because everybody's going to argue all day about things that are ours that we originally had, but I just don't want to get too I myself don't want to get too confused with my so-called beliefs. You know what I'm saying? Or my way of thinking. This is why, whether it leads me this way or that way, I'm going to share what I'm seeing. Okay. So again, I'm not holding on to anything. I'm not holding on to any type of information that especially comes from newer information, newer books that were written in the 80s, 90s and stuff like that. I like to go back to the old. This is the way you get closest to the truth. And again, the truth don't change because you want it to. Okay. So again, I have to learn that. I have to say that to myself all the time. Um, uh, so anyhow, we're going to go ahead and look at this image, and then we're going to look at a couple of things that are going to take us back to the biblical aspect. Because again, the book is just words. It was a false narrative given to us. And they knew at some point in time that we would leave the Bible behind because we know that there was something wrong. And I was someone that always wanted to go into the book and pull things out to prove to you that it's not only wrong in the way that you feel, just because emotionally you've torn yourself away from religion and church and the book, see, because of the damage you think that it's done. I always say that the very book you think that they used to enslave you will be the one to free you, because I pull out the information that shows us that there's no spooky in the sky, whatever, however they've given us this image. That's hard for me to explain it. Okay. Something that is not, that you're not able to tap into or touch. It is tangible because it is basically talking about their story and our story, using different terms and a different narrative, different ways of religion has given you these images. When we look up something like the breastplate of God or the armor of God, they have given you the images also to back up what they want you to think it is. And again, I'm going to see what I see. Okay. So, and you're going to see what you see. You know what I'm saying? We should be able to take all that information, put it together, and it should be able to make sense, even if we didn't come up with the same exact outcome. Okay. So again, we're looking at this image here, and the whole thing was I was looking at this image here, um, and I was like, okay, here is a man. He's of a darker skin tone. Who knows what they were doing to color people? Again, I know that they were using a form of oil or something to put on people to make them appear darker. And then also, I know that they were putting powder and they were using different things when it came to photography in order to change the view of people's skin pigment throughout the story. Okay. So a lot of these images, you'll see some of them, if you look very closely, at the images, you'll see that some people have wigs on. They look melanated. The phenotype and everything looks like the American so-called black people today, but you'll notice that they have silky hair. It's always been the hair. Even when someone just asked me about Esau, Jacob and Esau, and actually it made me want to tap back into that. And a lot of this has to do with that too. Even if you, I think it's the book of not Isaiah. Um, hmm, Goodness, I was just in it yesterday. I can't remember. But anyhow, about the whole Jacob and Esau thing, and how they have us thinking that someone put out their hand and he felt the hand or whatever, and that there was he was hairy or whatever, and so he thought. I believe that we're talking about scalping season. I think we're talking about scalping. I think that we're talking about someone taking someone else's hair texture in general and fooling someone with that, maybe putting a wig on, okay, so that he can touch to see what sun it is, because again, we know that with amalgamation or mixing of so-called races, that you're going to get different hair textures. And I feel like the more we look at this, when we're talking about the other continent, again, they say seven, I see two. Most of the dark skinned people over there have straight hair. When you come here to the Caribbeans, the Indies, and things like that, South American stuff like that, the images that I've seen depicted, in a sense, if I go over what they're talking about and actually look at the image itself, is showing people that have curlier hair. But even when you go into so-called Africa, I feel like maybe it's just something different about the mixtures, but they tend to have kinkier, more harsh, not to be, I'm not trying to be funny or anything, more tightly wound hair. They do a lot more eccentric things with their hair than the things that we have been doing, like two pigtails, afro puffs, and things like that, that we can see more in South America. And we'll see that most people in America, especially now that women are going back to natural for a while now, that people do have a texture to their hair. Some of our hair is more finer, but it's curly. It's not so much as an afro like the Melanesians or whatever, but in the pawpaws. But we have a texture of a curl pattern to our hair. And if you look when it comes to Puerto Rico and different places in America, you'll see that with the weather, I think maybe again, I don't dare to go back to our origin. I know their beginning started in Genesis, but I know we were already here even prior to Genesis. So, I can't dare tell you about that. That is something that is more powerful than any of this if you know who you are and how to tap into self and activate self, so we can all be connected on that plane. Again, I hope that makes sense to everybody. It's hard for me to break it down for you, but I'm trying my best. So we see this image here, okay? And the first thing that came to my mind is like, what the fuck? Wait a minute. Okay, he looks like this, he looks like that. He's wearing the bangs that a lot of us sisters used to wear when we had perms in the 90s with that flip bang. He has the two ponytails or whatever, like a lot of our grandmas still wear to this day. And you'll notice with our hair, it even changes over time. When you're a baby, it's really a certain way. And then once from all the damage in the perms, or once you get older and you're natural, your curl pattern is a little bit different. Your hair is healthier if you don't wear perms and things like that. We're learning that over the past 10 years, I would say, or so, more of us. And then when you see that our elders get older, their hair does get gray, and then it gets thinner and it gets more to a more thinner, wavy texture. You see, you look at your grandma now today, and she wearing her plaits. You know what I'm saying? It still has something where there's stretch to it. Okay, but they can slick it down with all kind of gels and things like some of these Aboriginal people did, in order to slick your hair down and put it in braids and stuff like that, and it would look straight enough for someone to maybe have some questions. But anyways, enough about that. So we see this here star here, in the moon, and the sword excuse me, on top. And the first thing, I'll just be honest, the first thing that came to my mind was Shriners. Again, I don't know everything about Shriners, but I thought about a red fez and seeing people with this on it. Okay. So what I did was go ahead and look up Freemasonry and, Shriner. No, I look up Shriners and something, and these images came up. So once I seen the compass here, I'm like, Okay, wait a minute now. What are we talking about here? And then those who live by the sword die by the sword. Certain things just started to stick out. Again, some of these images like this reminded me of a pharaoh, or even American Indian, or one of the groups. Okay, that would have some kind of feathers or something like uh, feathered crown that would be more straight up in appearance. Okay, and they used to, well, you'll see it in ancient Egypt, but also in America, with the horses have the same thing. Okay, so again, I want to more look into more imagery and show you guys things like that, because a lot of times some of these depictions that we're shown didn't even, especially when it comes to sketching and things like that, didn't even occur. They just thought, how can you explain this and how can we look at this so that we can get an understanding of it? And then they put strange things together in order to make it look like, to symbolically tell a story of symbolism that you're, or occult information that we're not privy to because they haven't placed it in front of us. Okay, but whenever it comes to any kind of symbolism and all that stuff, these symbols, people make secret symbols and secret societies in order to talk over your, like Jesus and his parables. It is to talk to one group of people that knows the secret way of this thing, but to talk over the heads of those who don't deserve, or they don't want to have this certain knowledge. Okay, so yeah, that's the image. And then I also notice here that there this looks like to be Indian. We'll just say Indian, okay? And from now on, when I use the term Indian, I mean that it is talking about after contact with these other groups, no matter if they were dark and they came before the colonizers, or if they were light or sent by the colonizers in some instances, or if we're talking about after pilgrims and all that shit. Okay. And then when I'm using natives, we're talking about the people of today, because there was not really a such thing as a native until the 60s or 70s or whatnot. Okay. So again, when we're talking about natives, we're talking about what you see now and what they show you in Hollywood. We're talking about Indians, everything was mixed up. So we're talking about aboriginals mixed with indigenous mixed with native, you see what I'm saying? We're talking about that whole cesspool of different groups and subgroups, okay? Because mixing did happen, and you can have all the paperwork in your life, but it will never take you all the way back to the origin. And I don't even really trust DNA when it comes to that. So again, that's what I'm saying. Once you know, all you need to know is to fucking know. Again, when we talk about all this paperwork and stuff like that, that is still signing you back up to, unless, hey, look, we don't want nothing to do with you. We want to separate from this government. Again, because again, when we're talking about that have been written, it seems to me that they're saying that you'll be in ties with me or wed to the government or their wife, whether you're a male or female. That just typically means the people that were on a plane or a landmass before they joined at the hip or joined with colonizers. Okay, so what was I saying? Uh, Okay, so then when I'm talking about aboriginals, I'm talking about that connection that we have, that you don't, once you tap into this and you start seeing things, you don't actually need, you have confirmation within, because you dug deep enough where answers in the universe is answering you on another level, because everything that they use outwardly when it comes to symbols, we already carry inwardly. This is why they had to do it this way. Telepathically, we were able to, or to look at each other like we do today. Say you in a nail salon and some girl is in there too, and something funny going on. And most of the time, you and her that look like you can look at each other. You know what I'm saying? And you already know, what the fuck is going on. So this is what I'm saying, by us being able to communicate on that level. When you don't have that same thing when it comes to so-called Jamaican, I'm not going to say Jamaican, because of the fact that they are different. I'm saying because of the mindset and the way that they were taught. And there's a certain sense of pride when it comes to even Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, they have a certain sense of pride in the things that they have been able to gravitate to or grab onto. Some of that stuff has origins with us, and some of that stuff they were given by the colonizers or the oppressors. Okay, and when you give someone a sense of pride about something, it tends to give them a narrow way of looking at things, and to only worry about them in a certain sense, which is good. But again, it know that they didn't give that to the American Aborigine for some reason. Okay, so I'm all over the place, y'all, but I'm just trying to get somewhere here. So when I noticed that this thing was here, I know a lot of people say this was our stuff or this was our stuff, but I just don't always see it that way. I think the more basic and the more bare you get, and it's just about knowing, okay, and you don't have to have all this stuff to show these things or whatever, then I think that's the closer we get to us. And I'll show you, for instance. I was going to talk about this image on one of my videos that's coming up next. You see here, I don't know what's going on all the way here. It says Isle de France. Again, this could be talking about Palenque, maybe Palenquin. But you see this mysterious person here in the background walking around, riding that horse the way she is, side straddling. It that may not have been there. This may be something symbolic to them doing something that, again, these people would know, that you may not. Okay, that could be just a symbolic thing measure that they placed in the image. But again, who knows? So we see these people carrying something. We see these people. I mean, I'm really good with faces and phenotypes and stuff like that, but not perfect. Okay, but these do look like maybe Haitian looking people. Um, and I'm not doing this to be separating, guys. I'm just trying to show you something to see if, just because this image is here, we have to question all the details and things that are going on in this image to see what plant is this? Where would it grow? What is this actual something, or did someone? Okay, we're gonna make the video too long if I go into all that. So I don't know. Even this X here, sometimes they'll write little things like, you have to have this is why you see these older so-called white men of antiquity holding uh, shoot magnifying glasses to look at some of these images, because the details are in the image. So even like this looks like there's something written in here. I'm not saying it is, but it could be. This says something, okay, here. The way that these kind of look like Egyptian type of um, uh, skirts, or whatever you call them, damn things that the Scottish wear. Uh, let's see. But these people, okay, these people, they have nothing on them. You see what I'm saying? He's doing a service here, okay. This guy is carrying something. He has something in his hand here. We see these guys have sticks or something. I don't know what in the world they will be carrying in here, but again, it's something is very. There's no lions. There's no beast. There's no. It's just simplicity. Okay, nice little thing here with just a little thing across it here. There is not too much going on. So again, if these people are as close as to the origin, what does it say? The first slaves brought to more. Come on now, that's not going to leave. In 1639 from Madagascar by the Dutch after they discovered it and decided to adopt the island. However, development, was altered by the slaves running away upon arrival, and many more calamities such as cyclones. There's something coming up on these motherfuckers right now. I could swear we talking about something like this. I was reading in the Bible and it was saying something about the waters, or a calamity that would have something to do with water, and people of the islands joining with other people of another portion. It's just a lot of stuff going on. Okay. Um, okay. So anyway, cyclones and bad harvest. Now again, a bad harvest doesn't always mean that we're talking about those type of crops. People were looked at as crops as well. So we could have been talking about certain groups of people as well, is all I'm saying. We could have very well be talking about harvest of slaves, because they were withholding people in certain areas and pockets in order to breed. And then, after 3 generations, or after 3 times of switching these people over. And this is why I think that they had women get pregnant at earlier ages back then, because they needed to hurry up and produce. Okay. And so again, the harvest could be talking about people. Okay. In 1715, the French took possession of the island and brought slaves from the East Africa to help to develop uh, procedures. Now, again, when we talk about East Africa, I'm gonna go somewhere that people ain't gonna like, but I've seen maps that I've run into because I love maps and I love studying them that have titled um, a certain portion off of the east coast of America as West Africa. That's all I'm going to say. If that is accurate, I don't know. I just keep these things in my mind in case something very damning and confirming comes to me that tells me that this is the answer. And that's what I'm saying. Okay. So from East Africa. So East Africa would then also be the Africa that they show you today. Okay. Slaves worked. Okay. So we don't even want to know about this. Okay. But I'm just telling you that look at this image here. And it looked like none of these people are really in distress or anything like that. But again, who knows? Okay. So this is what I mean by being bare. Okay. So let's look at this. Okay. Let's look. Okay. Now I want to show you another image. Okay, this is a habit of the Coon, nay, Sholti, Cherokee chief. Okay, so again, a Cherokee chief, they have saved these images in order to give them to us or show them to us. It's saying of old, we see his hair texture. Who knows what's going on? He's really very well covered. Could they been covering themselves even in hot places because they were covering up their body so that you can just worry about disguising the hands and the face like the wolf in uh, the goat Hans Christian Andersen story about the goats and the mother left and said don't open up the door and the remember the goat kept coming back and he put powder and stuff on his hands so he can look like on his paws and on his feet so he can look like the mom and he tried to fool them. They said that's not our mom, so again imposters is what I'm but notice this here. Notice the clothing and stuff like that. And then we're going to go ahead and read um, what this says, and then we're going to read some Bible scriptures. Okay. And matter of fact, I'm going to have to just read this and then I will come back to you guys with the scriptures. Okay. So it says gifts of diplomacy. For many decades before the American Revolution, the instruments of diplomacy that the rulers of of civilized nations had relied on in dealing with the natives. Sorry, somebody. Um, okay, yeah, I have 3 minutes and then I'm gonna have to go. So let me try to slow down and just read it. So instruments of diplomacy that the now hold on, I have diplomacy pulled up here, just a basic, so we can just look at what it might be saying here. Diplomacy, the science of formal intercourse between nations. See, they try to put sexual intercourse and then formal intercourse, just intercourse, in general, okay, between nations through authorized, like the King James Version, agents, the art of negotiating and drafting treaties more loosely, transactions and management of the international business in general in 1793. This would be pretty much a couple years, I believe, after we received the first president here in America. From French diplomati, formed from diplomat or diplomat. Okay, let's see. Aristocraty, and again, that guy that we just watched, looked at his image. That's how aristocrats would look on the surface to me. What he was wearing, but again, it doesn't mean that to anyone else. Okay, let's see, genitive. Now get this, gene. Whenever you see genitive or gene or gen in front of something, we're talking about Genesis, and we're talking about the beginning of something or the intertwining or the splicing of something. Official document conferring a privilege. Um, for sense evolution. Again, when they're talking evolution, they're talking about amalgamation and creating subgroups and races. They're talking about what happened after Genesis or within Genesis, splicing, mixing, okay, amalgamation. Okay, it is obvious to one who has been in charge of interests of his country abroad, that the day secrecy is abolished, negotiations of any kind will become impossible. Okay, so again, meaning dexterity or skill in managing negotiations of any kind. 1848. Okay, so we'll see that this was a little bit later in time when they were using it in this way. We're talking about the 1680s, around this time here. So again, this will be prior to a government. So they were putting these people here. A person officially employed, a diplomatist, a person officially employed in an international intercourse, one versed in the art of diplom- diplomacy. Sorry, diplomacy. Okay, so again, I hope y'all follow me here. So again, these people that were hired agents, okay, for many decades before the American Revolution, the instruments of diplomacy that the rulers of civilized nations had relied on in dealing with the native occupants of the land they claimed. Now, the lands are you too, the people, the earthlings, the earth, the archetype that some of these people were modeled and fashioned after. Now, lands, earth, soil, the dust that they used in Genesis to mix with something to create or form a man. See, because before in Genesis 1 through 3 or whatever, you were formless. Had not been infiltrated. You have not been intermingling with other groups that were foreign or alien to you or immigrants in that sense, especially not ones of a lighter complexion. Okay? So the land they claimed were gifts of flags. Again, these are the things to show that they were in cahoots, whether the people knew it or not, whether the native or indigenous people knew it or not. This is what they were doing. Gifts of flags, printed certificates called commissions or paroles, kind of like slave papers or traveling papers and things like this. Clothing such as cloaks, blankets, or military dress uniform, engraved silver pipes and silver headed canes, even the silver necklaces and stuff that you see some of these people with presidents or so called old white men on them. Okay, so pipes and silver headed canes, silver gorgets, small decorative breastplates. These are the breastplates of God, the God vernement, period, and medals. Okay, by far, same thing. Your children go running these relays and races and shit to get these fucking medals. Okay, by far the most important were the gifts called peace medals. What? Okay, do you see what I'm saying and where we're going with this? Because the giving and receiving of the token signified an understanding that the parties would maintain peaceable relationships, go against their mother to join with their father. Okay, see? Okay, the great father is what they called them. Okay, great fathers or sons. Okay, the parties, I'm coming, that the parties would maintain, okay, cool, would maintain peaceable relationships with one another and with the neighbors in the in the interest of free and profitable commerce. Again, this is the same thing as God or a Lord or one of these gods in the Bible, because there's so many times mentioned that there are many gods in the fucking Bible. Stop with the one God thing. You cannot do that. You got to make it make sense. There's plenty of times, even when we're talking about Jacob and Esau, it's very confusing because they're talking about a lot of gods and they said many gods, or how many of these gods have come and helped you fight against the great God or the Most High. You see what I'm saying? How many of these have been able to do that? Are you crazy? You might as well join with us. Okay? This is the same thing. Okay? So again, peaceable relationships with one another and with their neighbors. Okay? So with themselves and their neighbors. Honor thy mother and father. Do unto your neighbors as you do unto yourself. In the interest of free and profitable commerce, at least to the foreigners instead of their foreign competitors. Okay? At least to the foreigners instead of their. Now we're talking about the people, or the foreigners, foreign, okay? Competitors, like the French, the British, the Germans. You see what I'm saying? And profitable commerce. Okay, sorry, we keep reading it over again. Some Indians tended to, now Indians is the term they're using now because they're talking about a great mixture of people that they have created and they didn't create. And, it's a great mixture of people still in their natural habitat in a certain sense. Because again, they wouldn't be naturalized once they join in or come through the womb of an American Aborigine. And once they do that, they don't have to deal with. Once they got the Indians or Native Americans, okay, which think that they are the original people and are not. So once they got the Native Americans on board, then they got them ready to start clearing that land from even their people and fighting against their people so that they can then what? Bring pilgrims and so-called foreign white people into there. So once they were done with you, they discarded you. They had us fight amongst each other, infiltrated, tilled, subdued, and replenished with different people and everything like this by seeding and cultivating you because you are the earth, you are the land. When they're talking about land and earth and soil, they're talking about you in most instances. Okay. So, um, yeah, so some Indians intended to believe that the metal was a guarantee or some type of protection, I'm pretty sure, right? Okay, of the giver's military. See, this is what I'm saying. Even in that fucking book that oh man, I cannot remember, and I'm so upset right now. I know that I've been in Isaiah, but I'm trying to think of the other damn book that I was just in. When he was trying to get them to go in with their militia. Okay, so a medal was guaranteed givers military support against their own native rivals, join against us and be strong. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to come back to it, y'all. I was just reading in this shit last night. Against their own native rivals and enemies. So that was the thing about joining with them and having that particular protection of God. Okay, the symbols of the kings or presidents, okay, which are those that this God in Genesis or one of these gods in Genesis chose to make a man to preside, someone like him in their own likeness by taking something from the earth, the original people, and forming it with something that was not. Okay, and after doing that, placing him in the east of the garden. And that's why we're going to talk a lot about this look to the east stuff when it comes to this thing that was on this guy's this Freemasonry and the thing that was on his chest. Okay, so let's see, military support against their own native rivals and enemies. So again, so once the people that were native or on this land fighting amongst each other, and the stronger would come against those who are not that strong, they would then call in their troops. That's why these forts and all this shit it all has to do with something. Okay, the symbolism of the king's or president's likeness. What? In their what? See, now I can read this stuff because I'm trying to transfer it onto you, but I've already made confirmation. The information has already been downloaded. A lot of us do have the information, but you have to have yourself open. You can't be leaning towards the hopes of something not being, you can't be leaning towards the hopes that none of your family ever mixed with any of these people. And that, I'm just saying you have to be non biased, is all I'm saying. You have to be open. Your mind has to be open and honest with you and yourself first in order to see the information like this. It just fits. It just fits. No one's saying, and this is just me pulling random shit together. And I think that most of the people watching this video can say that this makes a lot of sense. Again, I already knew this from reading the word alone and listening and being quiet and still and listening to what is driving the force, the energy, the frequency that's around, and not letting, just because it's in this person's book or that person's book, or because it's what I want it to be, lead me. No, I leave myself open. I let all that shit just swim around. You know what I'm saying? And I know that a lot of you do because I watch you and I listen to you too. You know what I'm saying? And I know that we're supposed to be looking to each other at this point in time, not anyone that's put in a high position. That's just how I feel. Okay. So again, the symbolism of the king's or president's likeness. So in his likeness, and we just said this right 1 second ago. None of this shit I read. I just loaded it to my page a couple of minutes ago, just because it sounded like where I needed to take you guys, and here we are. And of the images on the reverse, the images on the reverse were powerful. Okay, wait a minute. So the images on reverse. So something behind that face, that coin with that face on it, were powerful in themselves, but to recipients without written language. Okay, without written language, the representation of words, and the words are very important, guys. Getting to know the real meaning of the words are very, you have to learn everything. I know it's hard, I know it's discouraging to a lot of people because you don't want to, but sometimes you only need to read that's what I'm saying, the age we're in right now, sometimes you only need to read a little bit of a book to fill in a blank or a puzzle piece that you've been looking for years. You know what I'm saying? So this is all we got to do the work. But once you get confirmation, you don't have to keep going back and forth. You'll know when it's confirmed because you'll be like, okay, I'm unmoved. This is what the fuck it was. Okay. The representation of words undoubtedly bore the potency, see, of strong medicine. Yet, in latter regard, American peace medals were far simpler and more direct. You see what I'm saying? Than contemporary British and Spanish medals. Now, I'll have you know, we're possibly, let's just talk about some things where we could be talking about this today. We could be talking about this today when you're watching something on the news and you are looking at the patches, the badges, the different details and different signs and wonders and symbols that these people have going on, the structure of them standing, how someone may be talking and there's one person on one side, one person on the other side, the way that they're holding their hands. These are things I'm not saying that I know, but I know is something that we need to know. So again, we need to then research that a little bit more. And I feel like I know what some of the stuff means, but again, it's a lot of, this is why we need to just go ahead and realize what's going on so we can go ahead and start going on one wide, it'll be a wide path because we all see things differently, but to see what the shit is and where they was going with it and where they doing it today. Okay, so again, it might be a little pin or something that your militia or those that are in the caste system as your kings and rulers, what they do. It may be a hand gesture. It may be a scratch of the nose or the eye or the, pulling of the ear. There might be a way that they hold their hands up against their face. You see what I'm saying? You might see certain people holding two fingers down or holding, a pyramid in their hands. And then sometimes you see them putting it up like Jay-Z or something like this. All of this stuff means something and they know exactly what it means, but they know it's not public to you. So you see it as just something that they're just doing. The way that some of these androgynous beings in Hollywood stand, there are different ways that they're showing who they are and revealing who they are. But if you don't know the information, you won't be able to identify it. And then like the most common one I've been seeing lately is everybody standing there and they have their hands, one hand over, and I know this has to be some kind of gesture, okay, over the on their wrist and the other one in the fist. I'll show you guys later on, okay. So again, okay, so again, let's just stop there, okay. Secretary of State under President Washington, Thomas Jefferson wrote the American give medals and marks. Okay, so again, when we're talking about the mark on uh Cain, what are we talking about here? You see what I'm saying? And him saying, "Oh, everybody that see this mark, they're gonna be ready." Why? Because that mean you're a traitor. What does it mean? You know what I'm saying? What? Again, sometimes you have to refresh and go back into the word and read what was going on there, and then you say, "Ah, there it is." Okay, wait a minute. Okay, of distinction to the Indian chiefs. Why? But that would make someone an easier target in some instances. Okay? Even with this person holding this little knife here, it said that these people that wore those some of those shields and those medals, they had a small knife or sword with them. And so again, I was watching something, I believe on Hulu, a movie or a show about uh, you know, rulership and voyages and stuff like that. I can't remember what it was about, what it was called. And they had taken one person out of the group and taken him to a different country and retrained him, brought him back, and then they turned him against someone in that group, the king or whatever. And they actually he had a small dagger or whatever, and he was supposed to get close enough, but it didn't happen. So I think then they ended up putting something in the king and the king's son's drink to try to get them to drink this drink. Okay. And it's just a whole bunch of stuff. But this is the kind of things that I'm talking about. To letting you get close enough with this trust or this faux friendship so that they can then, drive it in your heart or behind your back. Okay. So has been an ancient custom from the time of immemorial. Um, the metals are considered as complementary. See, anytime somebody give you something complimentary, you know it got to be some bullshit. Especially if they say complimentary breakfast at a hotel. This is just random, but I'm just saying. There's one time that I was shocked though. I really was. Okay, and I can't remember what hotel it was. Okay. Matter of fact, it was that hotel. It was that hotel I stayed at in Rosemont where that whole Kanika Jenkins thing was supposedly happen for my birthday. I stayed there 1 year. They shocked me with their breakfast. Okay, that don't matter. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going on. Okay, so things as marks of friendship to those who come to see. So again, when Cain killed this Abel, what was it about? Read more into the details of who was a keeper of sheep and who was, because a lot of these things mean slave holders, and a lot of these people mean, you know what I'm saying, hunters of slaves or fishers of men. Guys, it's all there. You know it. It's all there. You just have to get those, block those shields that are there blocking you from seeing what it is. And a lot of it is our ego. Okay, a lot of it is our ego and not and wanting to be right about something. I don't want to be right about a damn thing. I just want to get you to think and for us to be able to see the truth. I don't want to. All I want is the fucking truth. Period. I don't care which way it goes. Okay, so let's see. The metals are considered as complementary things. Okay, marks of friendship to those who can't come to see us. Okay, or who do us good offices. Okay, conciliatory of their good will towards what? God, towards us. I'm trying to tell you. And not designed to produce a contrary disposition towards others. They okay. So again, a contrary disposition towards others. Hmm. They confer no power and seem to have taken their origin in the European practice, okay, of giving medals or other marks of friendship to the negotiators of treaties and other diplomatic characters or visitors of distinction. The British government, while it prevailed here, practiced the giving of medals, gorgets, and bracelets to the savages. Invariable. That's tagging you. You know how they go in the wild and they get animals and they put a number of tag they fucking ear, they put them to sleep, and then you see what I'm saying? So it's lots of times people been put to sleep in the Bible, including Adam. And then something happened when he woke up. He took something from him. Again, we better start thinking about eunuchs and androgynous people and things. People had to be castrated in order to physically with take removing the parts of the penis or the whole damn thing. And then also they had to be separated, okay, or taken away from the body. Same thing is castrating. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Okay. So invariable. Okay, we have continued it, and we did imagine without pretending to know that we did imagine without pretending to know that Spain also did it. Again, these are the sons of God. These are what it is, y'all. This is what it is. Well, oh, I didn't even know it was this short, so we go ahead and read the rest. In keeping with the accepted Euro American policy of putting contracts in writing, signing, and sealing them, each peace medal given out was usually accompanied by a commission, also called a parole, which is the French word for promise. With a something or a promise. A parole guaranteed universal peace and friendship between the recipient and all other persons. So as long as you have this, God and his militia or your government and their militia will have your back. Reminds me of one of those stories of the Indian tribe, one of those big slaughtering things that happened, where they would send in again. They were taking people that looked like you and maybe even resided with you or presided with you for a certain amount of time, and turning them, using them as agents to infiltrate or as spies. The Bible will call them. Um, uh, what did they call them in history? Scouts, things like this. Okay, so when a scout will come talk to you, and then you would say something or whatever, and again, you're not privy to the information or this metal and everything because you wouldn't sell out. You were holding your own. You didn't want to go in with these people. You didn't want to hear nothing they had to do. So again, you wouldn't know if these people had this metal, if they had a sharpshooter, if they had something like this waiting for you or whatever. So again, they said put the flag up if you're in reliance. If you're not, then again, you don't put the flag up, then what happens? You don't know who's all around you and what will happen in the middle of the night. They will come and kill the whole and slaughter the whole neighborhood, the whole tribe, the whole group, just like God has done several times in the Bible. Again, you can be mad if you want. I don't give a damn. Okay? So the chief and his band or tribe, a false and unfair assumption that uh, let's see, remained at the core of troubled Indian white relations for most of the 19th century. Over time, the diplomatic gifts and style, at least in the Indians' eye, depended on the nation making the best promises. Same thing going on with these natives today. Early French medals, again, same thing when it goes on with the natives that go and get these medals and shit of honor from, for what? For what? Medals of honor for what? With Obama at the White House and with other people at the White House, they go get these medals. What the fuck have they been doing? You ain't never asked yourself that? Like, I want to know, what is the real job of the vice fucking president? Because while the president is all in your face doing shit and everything, the vice president low key doing whatever the fuck he doing in the background. I want to know what his real damn job is. You understand what I'm saying? Or who he is really over. And maybe he's over certain groups of people, and that's why you don't really hear from him. Okay, to replace those, and Lewis and Clark were intent on replacing those with United States medals. These diplomatic over, ov- overtures continued through the war. 1812. Again, there was a lot of interesting shit that happened around that 1812 around the whole world, supposedly. Strange fires and fucking what do you call them? Uh, Meteors and all kind of stuff. Just saying. And into the late fur trade. Again, fur. I mean, we Jacob and Esau. I mean, all the shit just makes so much sense to me. I can't give you everything, that I'm thinking, but I think y'all see where I'm coming from. And if you know the word, if you know history and everything like that, it should start coming to you. Okay. So I try to focus, like I said, on the origins of things. I don't like to go right with Freeman. I want to know when it happened, who introduced it, why they did it, who went in with it. You see what I'm saying? I just don't like to read their books and think I know what we're saying. And I always go right back to this book, the Living Bible. Okay, Tyndale, paraphrased. I always go back to that Bible because again, it always speaks sense. It says dates. It says certain things that other Bibles, like the King James, I call it a nursery rhyme Bible because it's just so ridiculous how it's written to me. Okay, it doesn't speak no truth. It doesn't break things down like saying the people in the government. You know what I'm saying? Like this one does. Okay, so then I know I'm on the right track. Okay, and most of the stuff, again, people can say what they want to say. Most of the stuff has been confirmed or it's already been run through my mind's eye prior to, because just from reading the word alone, I then take that information and go into the story, the history, or our story to see where these things correlate. So again, for people saying that you're getting your information from a book and this and that in the same book, dude, you have to have a different understanding. If you still have the understanding and if you have the perception that they gave you, then you're gonna lose. It's just as simple as that. I see all these people in this book. That's just the way that I see things. Okay, and it's kind of like an insult when you spend all your time every day, all night. You know what I'm saying? You're on your journey. You do this stuff, and you're trying to bring information to people, not to let them think what you think. But again, like I said, I'm never here to tell you what it is or what it ain't. I'm just simply sharing what it looked like to me. And I think that a lot of us are on a like minded kind of thing right now, but just with so many other interactions in the world and so many other things going on that are trying to capture our focus, we can't stay focused, or we lose ourselves because we don't have a lot of people around us to speak to on things. So this is why I chose to come out and bring my voice out and see if anyone could use any bits or pieces of this information to further their information. Again, don't even think what I think, don't believe what I believe. But again, I'm guaranteeing you, if you start looking at the word with these things and looking at etymology, you're going to see the same thing I see, and that means that what? It may be the closest to the truth that we're going to get. So again, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I don't want to make this too long, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. We're going to go ahead and look at the Bible scriptures of what they say. We're going to look at some more images, and we're just going to dig in on this a little bit. We're just going to dig in on this a little bit and see what we're really talking about here, because I'm telling you, it's the same thing in my eye only. Okay, hopefully somebody else's. I'm just saying, this is why I'm trying to connect with other people that are thinking on that level. It doesn't have to be that hard. People want to make things so hard. They want you to think that you have to learn Hebrew to know the truth about. You don't have. That's all distractions. I like to get to the guts and get to the fucking core. I don't have to. I have a family. I don't have time to just, you know what I'm saying, play around with y'all and bring y'all stuff that I don't really. Anything you see on my platform, I've done. I may not agree 100% with the person that created the meme or the message, but again, I know that we all have a different way of seeing things. We're all at different levels of the awakening, so I share them because I can agree or attest to some of those things. I don't share anything that I haven't done my research on or done my due diligence on to tap into, at least in order to run that through my mind, body, and soul, and through my heart to see if it is something that may be misleading or not. So again, because that's again, it's not about me, it's not about them, it's about the people as a whole in general. Okay, and us seeing what really happened to us so we can make our way out of this for our children. So again, it really ain't even for you, it's really so that we can go ahead and start giving our children some type of information to get them back on their feet, because we need order in the motherfucking court. And until we get it, ain't nothing gonna change. Again, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. Don't forget to go ahead and hit the thumbs up, share if you like, and don't forget to join us in the Facebook group American Aborigines Unchained, where me and others share particular information that may not have been known. Okay, that we feel may be able to help free the minds of our people, and that is it. Take care.